What if I told you there are SUVs out there that'll outlive your mortgage, cost less than a year of coffee runs, and laugh in the face of planned obsolescence? Yeah, I'm talking about vehicles so reliable, mechanics actually get bored working on them. While everyone's chasing the latest tech-filled money pits on wheels, smart buyers are scooping up these 5 legendary tanks that refuse to die. And no, you won't need to sell a kidney to afford one. Today, we're counting down 5 cheap SUVs that are basically the cockroaches of the automotive world. And I mean that in the best way possible. These beasts will still be running when the sun explodes. Let's dive in.
All right, kicking off at number 1, we've got the vehicle that's probably sitting in your neighbor's driveway right now, still looking smug after 200,000 miles. The Toyota RAV4. Now, I know what you're thinking. Really? The soccer mom special? But hear me out, because this little beast has a secret superpower that'll make you rethink everything. The RAV4 isn't just reliable, it's annoyingly reliable. We're talking about an SUV that treats maintenance schedules like gentle suggestions rather than requirements. There's a reason used car lots are flooded with RAV4s sporting odometers that look like phone numbers, and it's not because they broke down. It's because their original owners finally got bored of never needing repairs and wanted something more exciting to worry about. Here's where it gets interesting. Toyota didn't reinvent the wheel with the RAV4. They just made it so boringly perfect that it refuses to fail. Under that hood, you'll find engines that are essentially the automotive equivalent of a Nokia phone. The 2.5-liter 4-cylinder in the newer models, it's based on Toyota's dynamic force engine architecture, which sounds fancy, but really just means they obsessed over every single detail until it became practically bulletproof. We're talking about thermal efficiency that would make your physics teacher weep with joy, and a design so conservative that it makes your grandmother look like a risk-taker. And let's talk about that transmission. Toyota's 8-speed automatic is smoother than a jazz saxophone solo, but more importantly, it's built with a level of redundancy that NASA would appreciate. Multiple clutch packs, advanced cooling systems, and engineering tolerance is so tight you'd need a microscope to measure them. This thing is designed to handle whatever abuse you throw at it, whether that's stop-and-go traffic and sweltering heat or towing your questionable life choices up a mountain pass. But here's what really sets the RAV4 apart. It's not just one component that's reliable, it's the entire package. The suspension? Simple McPherson struts up front that a teenager could fix in their driveway. The electrical system? Conservative and proven, not some experimental nightmare that'll leave you stranded because a sensor sneezed. Even the paint seems to laugh at rock chips and parking lot dings. You want proof? Go look up RAV4s from the early 2000s. They're still running, still hauling families, still starting every single morning without drama. There are RAV4s in Alaska that have survived winters that would make a polar bear file for relocation. There are RAV4s in the Middle East still running after being buried in sandstorms that look like biblical plagues. And here's the beautiful part. Because Toyota made approximately 17 million of these things, parts are everywhere and they're cheap. Your local mechanic doesn't need to order special tools or sacrifice a chicken to work on a RAV4. Oil changes are straightforward, brake jobs are simple. This is the SUV equivalent of IKEA furniture, except it actually stays together and doesn't make you question your life choices. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. RAV4s hold their value like they're made of gold-pressed latinum. You'll pay more up front than some of the other vehicles on this list, but here's the thing. When you're ready to sell it in 10 years with 150,000 miles on it, you'll get back a percentage that'll make other SUV owners weep into their repair bills. It's basically a savings account that you can drive. I once met a guy who tried to kill his RAV4. No joke. He wanted an excuse to upgrade, so he stopped changing the oil, drove it like he was auditioning for Fast and Furious, and generally treated it like it owed him money. 6 months later, it was still running fine. He eventually just gave up and accepted his fate. That RAV4 probably outlived his marriage. Some say it's still out there, running on spite and whatever fluid is left in the engine. So, is the RAV4 exciting? Absolutely not. Will it make your heart race? Only if you have concerning cardiac issues. But will it start every morning, haul your stuff without complaint, and still be running when your kids inherit it?
You better believe it. The Toyota RAV4 is proof that sometimes the most boring answer is the right answer. It's the oatmeal of SUVs. Nobody's writing poetry about it, but it gets the job done day after day after day after day. But hold on, because our next vehicle takes reliability to an even more legendary level. We're talking about an SUV so tough, it's basically become a meme in the automotive world.
Welcome to number 2, the Mitsubishi Montero, also known as the Pajero in some parts of the world. And before you say, wait, Mitsubishi, the company that barely exists anymore? Let me stop you right there. This is exactly why the Montero is on this list. This SUV is so overbuilt, so ridiculously engineered, that it's survived longer than the company's reputation in some markets. It's like finding out your great uncle was secretly a superhero the whole time. The Montero has achieved something very few vehicles ever do. It's become the unofficial vehicle of choice for the United Nations, humanitarian organizations, and anyone who needs to drive through actual war zones. I'm not exaggerating. When your job description includes may encounter landmines, you don't pick something flashy. You pick a Montero. This thing has seen more conflict zones than most journalists, and it keeps coming back for more. Now let's talk about why this beast refuses to die. And it starts with Mitsubishi's philosophy of building vehicles like they're going to traverse the Dakar Rally, because spoiler alert, they literally did. The Montero won the Dakar Rally 12 times. 12! That's not a typo. This SUV was engineered to survive thousands of miles across deserts, mountains, and terrain that would make a mountain goat reconsider its career. And then Mitsubishi said, cool, let's sell this to regular people. Under the hood, you're getting bulletproof powertrains that were designed with one goal: never stop running. The 3.8-liter V6 that came in the later models produces a modest but reliable output, but that's not the point. The point is that this engine was built with cast-iron internals and tolerances that treat abuse like a warm-up exercise. It's not about horsepower. It's about turning on in the Sahara at noon and in the Arctic at midnight and not caring either way. But here's where it gets really interesting. The Montero rides on a fully boxed ladder frame chassis. For those who don't speak engineer, that means this thing has a skeleton made of structural steel that could probably support a small building. Modern SUVs have moved to unibody construction to save weight and improve handling, which is great until you hit something that a ladder frame would just shrug off. The Montero? It laughs at potholes that would total a crossover. It views curbs as suggestions. It treats off-road obstacles like they're part of a theme park ride. And that suspension system deserves its own documentary. Mitsubishi equipped the Montero with a sophisticated multi-link setup that somehow manages to be both comfortable on the highway and unstoppable in the dirt. It's got the compliance of a luxury cruiser when you're running errands, but the moment you point it at a trail, it transforms into a mechanical mountain goat with anger management issues. Here's a fun fact that'll blow your mind. There are Monteros running around with over 300,000 miles that have never had major engine work. Not a rebuild, not a replacement, just oil changes and the occasional prayer. I'm talking about vehicles that have been through floods, sandstorms, and the kind of neglect that would make a Jeep file for emancipation. And they're still running. The four-wheel drive system is another masterpiece of over-engineering. It's a proper Super Select 4WD setup, which means you can switch between two-wheel drive, four-wheel high, and four-wheel low on the fly. No need to stop, no need to think, just twist a knob and suddenly you've got the traction of a tank. This system has pulled people out of situations that would have required a helicopter rescue with any other vehicle. Now here's the beautiful secret about the Montero. Because Mitsubishi's marketing department apparently went on permanent vacation around 2004, nobody talks about these anymore. And that means you can find them for absolutely stupid cheap prices. We're talking bulletproof SUVs with legendary capabilities going for less than a decent used sedan. It's like finding a Rolex at a garage sale because the seller thought it was a knockoff. I know a guy who bought a Montero with 200,000 miles for $3,000. His friends laughed at him. They called it a rolling bad decision.
2 years and another 50,000 miles later, his friends are on their second car payments, and he's still driving that same Montero, which now has a bumper sticker that says, "I told you so." The vehicle has become sentient out of pure spite, I swear. There's an entire underground community of Montero enthusiasts who treat these SUVs like hidden treasures, and they're not wrong. These people have taken their Monteros places that would make a Land Cruiser owner nervous. They've crossed continents, climbed mountains, and forded rivers that GPS maps list as, "Are you absolutely sure?" And the Monteros just keep going. Is the Montero perfect? Of course not. The interior looks like it was designed by someone who thought the 90s would last forever. The infotainment system, if you can even call it that, has less computing power than your microwave. Gas mileage is best described as optimistic. But none of that matters when you're looking for a vehicle that will outlive your grandchildren. Speaking of vehicles that treat modern problems like minor inconveniences, our next SUV has been quietly dominating reliability charts while everyone else was busy chasing trends.
Coming in at number 3, we've got the vehicle that most people completely forgot existed until they see one still running around town 20 years later, the Suzuki Grand Vitara. Now, I can hear some of you saying, Suzuki? Didn't they leave the market? And that's exactly the point. This little giant slayer is so dependable that it's still everywhere, despite the manufacturer ghosting an entire continent. It's like that friend who moved away, but somehow their stuff is still at your house and working perfectly. Here's what makes the Grand Vitara absolutely fascinating. It's small, really small compared to the bloated behemoths we've been discussing. But Suzuki took that compact package and stuffed it full of old-school off-road DNA that bigger SUVs abandoned years ago. This is a proper body-on-frame SUV in a wrapper that looks like it should be picking kids up from soccer practice. It's a wolf in sheep's clothing, except the wolf is really good at math and never calls in sick. The engine options tell you everything about Suzuki's philosophy. You've got straightforward, naturally aspirated power plants that wouldn't know the word turbo if it hit them in the intake manifold. The 2.4-liter four-cylinder and the later 3.2-liter V6 aren't going to win any drag races, but they're built with the kind of simplicity that makes mechanics actually smile. No complicated variable valve timing that requires a PhD to diagnose. No direct injection systems that clog up faster than your kitchen sink. Just honest, reliable combustion that starts when you turn the key and keeps running until you tell it to stop. But here's where the Grand Vitara separates itself from the pretenders. That transfer case and four-wheel drive system is absolutely legendary. Suzuki literally wrote the book on compact four-wheel drive systems. They've been building these since before most SUV manufacturers even considered putting their vehicles off-road. The Grand Vitara comes with a proper low-range transfer case, which means this little machine can crawl over obstacles that would make a Suburban cry for its mother. We're talking about a gear reduction that gives you the torque multiplication to climb walls. Okay, not actual walls, but you get the point. And the approach and departure angles on this thing are genuinely impressive. Because it's not trying to be a luxury cruiser with a front bumper that drags on the ground, the Grand Vitara can tackle angles that bigger SUVs can only dream about. It's like watching a Jack Russell Terrier outperform a Great Dane in an agility course. Size isn't everything, and the Grand Vitara proves it every single time someone underestimates it. What really makes this SUV shine in the reliability department is its refreshing lack of complexity. There's no air suspension that'll cost you $5,000 to replace, no fancy electronic differential that needs a computer update every 6 months. The Grand Vitara uses proven mechanical systems that have been refined over decades. Solid rear axle, simple coil springs, and a chassis that's basically a steel ladder wrapped in just enough body panels to keep the rain out. It's like that dashboard that's so straightforward that your technologically challenged uncle could figure it out in about 30 seconds. And that's beautiful, because simplicity means fewer things to break. The Grand Vitara has earned a cult following among overlanders and adventure seekers who understand that reliability beats luxury every single time. These things have crossed deserts, jungle trails, and mountain passes that don't appear on any map. There are Grand Vitaras in rural areas still serving as daily transportation after accumulating mileage that would make a Lexus dealer faint. I'm talking 250,000 miles with nothing more than routine maintenance and the occasional, that's a weird noise. Oh well, it went away. And let's talk about the price tag, or rather the lack thereof. Because Suzuki pulled out of major markets, these Grand Vitaras are selling for pennies on the dollar compared to their capabilities. You can find clean examples with reasonable mileage for less than a decent motorcycle. Parts are still available through enthusiast networks and online suppliers, and because the mechanicals are so simple, any competent mechanic can work on them without needing specialized tools or divine intervention. I once saw a Grand Vitara with a bumper sticker that read, "Yeah, it's small, but it's still here." And honestly, that's the perfect summary. While bigger, flashier SUVs have come and gone, turned into rust, or bankrupted their owners with repair bills, the Grand Vitara just keeps showing up. It's the automotive equivalent to that coworker who's been at the company for 30 years, never causes drama, and somehow knows how to fix the printer when it inevitably breaks down during the most important presentation of the year. Is the Grand Vitara fast? Absolutely not. Is it luxurious? Only if your definition of luxury includes functional cup holders. Will it impress your neighbors? Only the ones who appreciate engineering over appearance. But will it take you anywhere you need to go, bring you back safely, and do it again tomorrow without complaint? Without question. The Suzuki Grand Vitara is proof that sometimes the best vehicle is the one that simply refuses to quit, no matter how much the world tries to forget about it. Now, if you thought the Grand Vitara was impressive for its size, wait until you see what's coming next. We're about to discuss an SUV that redefined what affordable reliability actually means.
At number 4, we're throwing a curveball that's going to make some people pause their scrolling, the Subaru Crosstrek. And before the purists start typing angry comments about how it's technically a lifted hatchback, let me remind you that categories don't matter when you're still driving the same vehicle a decade from now, while everyone else is making payments on their third car. The Crosstrek has quietly become the cockroach of the crossover world, and I mean that with the utmost respect. What makes the Crosstrek an absolute tank starts with something Subaru has been obsessed with for decades: symmetrical all-wheel drive. Now, most manufacturers slap an all-wheel drive badge on their vehicles and call it a day, routing power through a system that only wakes up when the front wheels are already spinning helplessly. Subaru said absolutely not and built a system where all 4 wheels are engaged from the moment you start moving. It's not reactive, it's proactive, like having a paranoid co-pilot who's always 3 steps ahead of disaster. This isn't some electronic trickery that needs sensors and computers to figure out what's happening. The Crosstrek's all-wheel drive system is mechanically driven, which means it works even when your electronics are having an existential crisis. Rain, snow, mud, that mysterious wet stuff that appears on roads during winter, the Crosstrek handles it all with the confidence of someone who's seen it before and wasn't impressed. Under the hood sits Subaru's horizontally opposed boxer engine, and this is where things get mechanically interesting. While everyone else is stacking cylinders vertically like a game of automotive Jenga, Subaru laid theirs flat. This drops the center of gravity lower than a limbo champion and creates an engine that's inherently balanced. Those pistons punch outward like boxers throwing jabs, hence the name. And this configuration means less vibration, better weight distribution, and an engine that treats high mileage like a warm-up lap. The 2-liter and later 2.5-liter versions aren't going to set any speed records, and that's exactly the point. These engines are tuned for longevity, not Instagram posts. They produce adequate power while maintaining fuel efficiency that actually makes sense in the real world. We're talking about power plants that have been refined over generations, with Subaru continuously tweaking and improving until they created something that just refuses to fail. Here's where the Crosstrek separates itself from the grocery getter crowd. The ground clearance on this thing is genuinely impressive for something that doesn't require a stepladder to enter. 8.7 inches might not sound revolutionary until you're navigating a snow-covered parking lot while everyone else is stuck spinning their wheels and questioning their life choices. That extra clearance, combined with the all-wheel drive system, means the Crosstrek goes places that would make other crossovers file for workers' compensation. The suspension setup is surprisingly robust for a vehicle in this price range. Subaru used a design that balances comfort with capability, which is engineering speak for it won't rattle your teeth out on rough roads, but it also won't fall apart when you accidentally take that Forest Service road a bit too enthusiastically. The chassis rigidity is impressive, built with high-strength steel in critical areas that help this thing survive impacts and abuse that would turn other crossovers into modern art installations. What really makes the Crosstrek a long-term winner is Subaru's approach to manufacturing. These vehicles are built with Japanese precision in facilities that take quality control seriously enough to make other manufacturers uncomfortable. Panel gaps are consistent, welds are clean, and assembly tolerances are tight enough that things actually fit together properly. It's amazing what happens when you prioritize building something right instead of building something fast. The CVT transmission that comes in newer models gets a lot of heat from enthusiasts, and fair enough, CVTs have a mixed reputation, but Subaru's version is actually engineered with longevity in mind. They overbuilt it, added proper cooling systems, and programmed it to behave more like a traditional automatic for those who can't handle the CVT drone. More importantly, it's been refined over multiple generations, which means the bugs have been worked out and what remains is a transmission that does its job without drama. The Crosstrek community is filled with people casually mentioning their vehicles crossing 200,000 miles with nothing more than oil changes and brake pads. These aren't pampered garage queens. These are daily drivers that see harsh winters, hot summers, and the kind of commutes that would break lesser vehicles. There are Crosstreks serving as ski shuttle vehicles, camping adventure mobiles, and general life haulers that just keep accumulating miles without complaint. And let's talk about practicality, because the Crosstrek nails it in ways that more expensive SUVs completely miss. The cargo area is genuinely useful, with a square shape that doesn't waste space on unnecessary styling curves. The rear seats fold flat, creating a sleeping platform that's helped more people avoid expensive hotel rooms than Subaru's marketing department would probably admit. The roof rails aren't decorative, they're functional, rated to actually carry things instead of just looking outdoorsy in parking lots. There's a running joke in the Subaru community that Crosstreks are issued, not purchased. You wake up one day, realize you value reliability over image, and suddenly there's a Crosstrek in your driveway with a kayak on top and a golden retriever in the back. Resistance is futile. The Crosstrek has chosen you. Does the Crosstrek have the most powerful engine? Not even close. Is the interior going to make you feel like royalty? Only if your kingdom values functionality over flash. Will it turn heads at car shows? Only at Subaru-specific gatherings where everyone already knows the secret. But will it start every single morning, handle whatever weather throws at it, and still be running strong when you're ready to pass it down to someone who needs reliable transportation? Absolutely, without question. And speaking of vehicles that have earned legendary status through sheer stubborn reliability, our final entry is the SUV that probably started this whole conversation in your head.
And here we are at number 5, the vehicle that needs almost no introduction because it's probably parked in 3 driveways on your street right now. The Honda CR-V, the undisputed champion of boring reliability. The SUV equivalent of that friend who always shows up on time, never causes drama, and somehow still has the same phone from 5 years ago that works perfectly fine. The CR-V isn't just reliable, it's so predictably dependable that it's actually become boring to talk about how reliable it is. But we're gonna do it anyway, because this legend deserves its moment. The CR-V's superpower starts with Honda's engineering philosophy, which can be summed up as make it work, make it last, don't overthink it. While other manufacturers were busy adding complexity for the sake of marketing brochures, Honda was perfecting the art of simplicity. Every component in the CR-V exists for a reason, and that reason is usually because it works and won't break. There's no fancy technology that'll be obsolete in 3 years, no experimental systems that require software updates every other week, just straightforward, proven engineering that's been refined over decades. The K-series engines that power most CR-Vs are mechanical poetry. These 4-cylinder power plants have earned such a reputation for reliability that entire online communities exist just to celebrate them. They're smooth, efficient, and built with tolerances so precise that they seem to get better with age, like a cast-iron skillet or a good pair of boots. Honda's VTEC technology, which sounds fancy but is actually brilliantly simple, gives these engines excellent power delivery across the rev range while maintaining fuel economy that makes sense when you're actually paying for gas. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. Honda's automatic transmissions have had some questionable moments in their history, but the CR-V got the good ones. The 5-speed and later CVT transmissions in these vehicles were engineered with an obsessive attention to detail that borders on paranoia. Fluid cooling systems, robust clutch packs, and programming that prioritizes longevity over aggressive shifting means these transmissions just keep working long after the odometer has rolled into six-figure territory. The real-time AWD system that Honda developed for the CR-V is another masterclass in doing more with less. It's not a full-time system like Subaru's, and it doesn't pretend to be. Instead, it's a smart, efficient setup that sends power to the rear wheels exactly when needed and not a moment longer. This means better fuel economy when you're just cruising and confidence when conditions get sketchy. It's the automotive equivalent of having a really good insurance policy that you hope you'll never need but are really glad exists. The unibody construction of the CR-V is surprisingly robust for something that rides on a platform shared with the Civic. Honda reinforced critical stress points, used high-strength steel in areas that matter, and created a structure that absorbs impacts while protecting occupants. This thing has passed crash tests with scores that would make tank manufacturers jealous. Safety isn't just about airbags and sensors, it's about building something that doesn't crumple like aluminum foil when physics gets involved. And can we talk about the suspension for a moment? Because Honda somehow managed to create a setup that's comfortable enough for daily commuting, but capable enough to handle rough roads without falling apart. The McPherson strut front and multi-link rear suspension is tuned perfectly for real-world use. It's not too soft, not too firm, just right in that Goldilocks zone where you forget you're even thinking about suspension until you drive something else and realize how good you had it. The CR-V has achieved something very few vehicles ever do. It's become the default answer to, "I need something reliable." Used car shoppers specifically search for CR-Vs because they know what they're getting. A vehicle that will start every morning, handle family duties without complaint, and accumulate miles faster than a frequent flyer program. There are CR-Vs out there with over 300,000 miles still running their original engines and transmissions, serving as daily transportation for people who understand that reliability is worth more than any luxury feature. The interior of the CR-V is a masterpiece of functional design. Everything is where your hand expects it to be. The cargo area is massive, with a completely flat floor when the rear seats are folded down that's helped more people move apartments than U-Haul would like to admit. The rear doors open wide enough to actually load things without performing yoga poses. And those door pockets, they'll hold actual bottles, not just the theoretical ones that other manufacturers seem to design for. Honda also nailed the visibility in the CR-V. You can actually see out of this thing, which sounds like a basic requirement, but has apparently become a lost art in modern vehicle design. Thin pillars, large windows, and sensible proportions mean you're not driving a rolling bunker where lane changes require faith and prayer. Here's where the CR-V really shines in the wallet department. These things hold their value like they're made of precious metals. You'll pay a bit more up front compared to some other options, but when you factor in the minimal maintenance costs, excellent fuel economy, and the resale value that refuses to depreciate normally, the CR-V becomes one of the smartest financial decisions you can make on four wheels. It's not just transportation, it's an investment that actually makes sense. Parts are everywhere because Honda made millions of these things. Any mechanic can work on them without needing specialized training or sacrificial rituals. Oil changes are cheap, brake jobs are straightforward, and major repairs are so rare that most CR-V owners forget they're even a possibility. I know someone who tried to convince themselves they needed something more exciting than a CR-V. They bought a luxury SUV, enjoyed it for about 6 months, then spent the next 2 years dealing with electrical gremlins, expensive repairs, and the growing realization that excitement is overrated when you're stranded in a parking lot waiting for a tow truck. They eventually traded it in for, you guessed it, a CR-V. They now describe it as the most boring vehicle I've ever loved. The Honda CR-V isn't going to make your pulse race, it won't win any beauty contests, car enthusiasts won't gather around it at shows asking about modifications, but it will do something far more important. It'll be there, every single day, in every condition, through every season. When everyone else is dealing with check engine lights and repair estimates that look like phone numbers, you'll be driving your CR-V to work, to the store, to wherever life takes you, without a second thought. And right there is the ultimate luxury.
So there you have it, 5 SUVs that treat reliability like a competitive sport and win every single time. The Toyota RAV4, the people's champion that never quits. The Mitsubishi Montero, the overbuilt warrior that survived its own company. The Suzuki Grand Vitara, the forgotten hero that refuses to be forgotten. The Subaru Crosstrek, the symmetrical all-wheel drive wizard. And the Honda CR-V, the boring champion that everyone secretly wants. These aren't the flashiest vehicles on the road. They won't make your neighbors jealous or rack up likes on social media. But they'll still be running when those trendy SUVs are sitting in junkyards, serving as cautionary tales about prioritizing features over fundamentals. If this video saved you from making an expensive mistake or helped you discover your next bulletproof SUV, smash that like button like it owes you money. Subscribe and hit that notification bell because we're constantly dropping knowledge bombs about vehicles that actually deserve your hard-earned cash. Drop a comment below telling me which of these 5 legends you choose, or if I missed an immortal SUV that belongs on this list. And hey, if you know someone shopping for an SUV who's about to waste their money on something unreliable, do them a favor and share this video. You might just save their wallet and their sanity. Thanks for watching, and remember, the best SUV isn't the one that looks the coolest, it's the one that starts tomorrow morning. See you in the next one.